Hey everybody, this is Editing Sarah. At the beginning of this video, before you guys get into the video of the Delphi girls, basically a lot has happened within this case since I filmed this video. I do think that I believe I saw somewhere his defense team did something and he needed a new defense team. That might also have been another case that I was seeing and it just merged in. Comment if I'm right about that. I know that the trial has been pushed again. Basically, this case, I feel like they're prolonging it just because this man, they think he deserves some kind of fair trial. Which I will also say this, there is a lot of my opinions in this video. Basically me stating how I feel about it. Being somebody from Indiana, being the same age as those girls. Very difficult, but I hope you guys enjoy it. And I will warn you now, I do say what happens to the girls. And just forewarning you, but I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys like and comment, and if you know anything about the case that I missed, please feel free to comment. I'd love the feedback from you guys. And I'm so sorry that this might be the last video of 2023. I'm trying to get back into editing. I've just had a lot of stuff going on, so thank you guys, and I'll see you in the video. See you at the end of the video, I guess. Hello everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is actually one that I have waited years to talk about. Reason being is because there was never a murderer found, or it was still ongoing, and today we are going to talk about the Delphi murders. Now, before I get into this case, I will say this one hits very close to home. As you guys know, I am from Indiana. I was the same age as these girls. I would have been in the same grade as them. We went to, we lived about 2 hours away from each other, but they were my age. So this case is very close to home for me. It means a lot. So please be kind in the comments. Right into the case. Basically, I'm gonna give you a brief description, basically, real quick, and then we'll kind of get into who these girls were, what happened to them, the man that murdered them, and I'll tell you what I know about the trial that is coming very soon. So, their murders happened 6 years ago. 6 years ago, I was 14 years old, and I was at school. They had a day off, my school didn't, but I was at school, and if you would have told me that within the next couple of days, my home state of Indiana would be on national news, I would have not believed you. Because on February 13th, Abigail Joyce Williams, or Abby, and Liberty Rose Lynn German, or Libby, lost their lives because some unbelievably disgusting man. Abby was 13 and Libby was 14 at the time of their untimely deaths. Breaks my heart to have to sit here and tell you about two girls who did not get to live their life. So, Abby was actually born on June 23rd, 2003, and Libby was born on December 27th, 2002. They had been best friends for a while. They'd actually had a sleepover just the night before they were murdered. They stayed, I can't remember which girl's house it was, but they'd stay the night at one of the girls' houses. So on the 13th, they actually didn't have school. Their school was closed for some reason. And they decided they wanted to take a hike. And at around 1:30 on the 13th of February, they were dropped off by Libby's older sister, Kelsey, on Country Road 300 North, which is east of Hoosier Heartland Highway, which I didn't know was a highway in Indiana, and I've lived here for 20 years. So they'd actually made plans to be picked up by Libby's dad at 3:15. So keep that in mind. They were supposed to meet up with Libby's dad at 3:15, which probably would have been after he got off work. And, they would have been there for about 2.5 hours at that point. So the girls start walking, and they'd actually been hiking on the Monon High Bridge over Deer Creek. And at around 2:07 p.m., Libby posted a picture on her Snapchat story, which was of her and Libby, or her and Abby, and I will put that picture up because this was probably the last picture you will see of these girls. It was actually a picture of Abby on a bridge, and in the background of the picture, you can see a man with his hood up, and he has his hands in his pockets. He's wearing jeans and a blue sweatshirt. This man, in the background of this picture, would actually go on to be the suspect for these girls' murders. So after this picture was posted, Abby nor Libby was ever heard from again. They never texted anybody, they never called anybody, they never posted back on their Snapchat stories. They were just, it was almost as if they had vanished into thin air. So when they did not meet with Libby's dad at 3:15, he waited and waited. Maybe he got out and looked for them, but then they reported Abby and Libby missing at 5:30 p.m. that same day. So like I said, the two families really did look for the girls before they called the police, and when they did, authorities were quick to search the area, and they initially didn't suspect foul play in the disappearance of the two. That train of thought of like, this was not murder, this was not foul play, that changed almost immediately after their bodies were found east of the Luna High Bridge. Their bodies were found on the bank of Deer Creek, so they were not that far away from where that last picture was taken. Initially, the police never released how the girls were murdered. We have now had court documents come out, and they have told us how the girls were murdered, which I will talk about later in this video. But they were murdered, which is very sad, considering I'm the same age as those girls should be. They should have gotten to graduate high school last year, or maybe even this year. They should have, started college and everything, but they didn't get to because somebody decided to murder them. Like I was saying, the police changed their mind very quickly after their bodies were found. The girls were actually found on February 14th, 2017, so on Valentine's Day. And almost immediately after the girls were found and it was announced it was a murder, did the police release a picture of a man, which we became very well known with. If it was on the news, you saw this picture. The picture was grainy, but it showed a man who seems to be of Caucasian descent. He's a white man. His hands are in his pockets, his head down, he's walking behind the girls. They said that this man was just a suspect. They wanted to talk to this man at first, but only just a few days later, they labeled this man in the picture as the murderer. A couple weeks later, on February 22nd of 2017, the law enforcement who were working the case released an audio recording, which I will play for you guys, during which you can hear the suspect through, though the audio is very severely muffled, which makes me think that it was probably in Libby's pocket because it was from Libby's phone. You can hear the man say to the two girls, "Down the hill." Like I said, I will play it for you guys.
Down the hill.
I do believe that this actually was, I don't know how to put it. I believe this audio was a lot longer than the little snippet they gave us, but I do believe now, which I don't think that they will ever release the full clip, maybe after the trial. I believe that Libby recorded this knowing something was wrong, and she recorded it knowing that they were going to either be kidnapped, raped, or murdered. She knew something was wrong, so she filmed it, recorded it, and maybe in the future they will release the whole clip. But I think it might be, you will probably hear how the girls were murdered. At the press conference that this audio clip was released at, they did announce that it was from Libby's phone. I've already stated it came from Libby's phone. And like I just said, she did that. She recorded it to know that this was not a good incident. They actually labeled Libby a hero for having the state of mind, basically, to secretly record this man who was going to murder them. Those are the picture and the video of the man, the video audio recording of the man, are the only two things we have ever gotten from Libby's phone, because the police indicated very quickly that they would not release any further evidence that came from Libby's phone as to not compromise any future trial. So the trial that is going to start next year, I do believe, they have actually not released anything but those two items because they do not want to compromise the trial. They don't want to compromise that man could possibly get off because it didn't sound like him. But by this time in the case, any clue, anything you knew about the picture of the man or even the voice, there was a $41,000 reward if you gave anything that was leading to this person. 4 months after the girls were murdered, on July 17th, police distributed a composite sketch of someone they thought would be a person of interest in the murders. This is the picture that was all over Facebook at the time, that was all over social media at the time. The picture was everywhere. Apparently, though, this sketch was created by eyewitness accounts of a hiker who just happened to be on the same trail as the girls the day they vanished. On April 29th, Indiana State Police announced they were going in a new direction for the case. They then released a new sketch of the suspect. While urging the public to look at the sketch and listen to the audio. So they updated the sketch from these eyewitness accounts. They made it seem, I believe they probably knew who they were looking for at that point because of, we have technology these days that is advanced in ways that they can use it like that. But they wanted the people to help them solve this. They wanted to know, do you recognize this man? Do you recognize this sketch? Do you recognize this voice? Do you know a man who walks like that? Do you know what his voice sounds like? And if anyone knew who this man was, they were supposed to email into the tip line, because we live in a day and age where you don't call in anymore, you email. And investigators actually stated that they believed that this man may be hiding in plain sight and was certainly familiar with Delphi, because there is no way you can get in and out of these trails not knowing what they are after murdering 2 teen girls. Or this person lived there and worked there, or was currently living there and is currently working in Delphi. And I will say, as somebody who lived a couple, 2.5, 3 hours away from Delphi, Indiana, when you learn that this man, when we heard that this man could have not been in Delphi anymore, he could have been anywhere in the state of Indiana, schools were on alert. Parents were on alert. Children were on alert when you listen to the same news that your parents are listening to, wondering, am I next? But something that investigators wanted information on, I did actually not know this until I was researching for this case, that there was a car abandoned at a former child services office around Delphi. They say that the car was left there somewhere between noon and 5 p.m. on the day of the girls' murders. This would have been around the same time frame that the girls were on their hike and that they were reported missing. People called in with tips talking about how the car was parked weirdly, almost like it was parked to hide the license plate, which basically would be like the murderer parked it in a way that like nobody would be able to see the license plate, or if a cop went by that they didn't run it because it's parked somewhere it probably shouldn't have been. 2.5 years after their murder, in connection to this case, and I vividly remember this part, on July 23rd, 2019, a suspect who had been wanted for kidnapping and rape in Tippecanoe County, which was way too close to where I live, was named as one of the multiple suspects that they've had in this case. But according to Carroll County Sheriff Toby Lazenby, I do believe, this suspect had died the previous month by suicide. And then we jump to April 27th, 2021. Indiana State Police detectives announced they had another person of interest in the Delphi murders. They never named who, they never said anything, they never gave us anything. They were just saying, we have a new person of interest. We will let you guys know by the time comes. Let me tell you about the morning of October 26, 2022. A man whose name is Richard Allen, I will put his picture up here, this piece of shit, was taken into custody and appeared in court just 2 days later. On Halloween of 2022, Indiana State Police announced that Richard had been charged with 2 counts of murder in the case of Libby and Abby. He had apparently pleaded not guilty. And let me tell you, I was babysitting my nieces and my nephew at the time. I babysat them 4 or 5 times a week. I was getting them ready for school in the morning, and I was sitting on the couch and they were getting their shoes and stuff on, and I just happened to look at the TV. My mom had turned the Today Show on, and I looked up and it said, "Suspect arrested in Delphi murder case." And the relief that flooded over me knowing that these girls for the last 6 years have had no justice to them because this man has just been living. He's been living his life for the last 6 years, but they didn't get to. They didn't get to graduate high school. They didn't get to go to senior prom. They probably never had their first boyfriend or their first kiss. They didn't get any of that because this man took it away from them. Richard Allen's trial was originally supposed to start in March of 2023. But it actually has been postponed until either December of this year, which is 2023, or early 2024. Which came at the request of his defense team back to late 2022. On November 29th, Judge Francis Gall issued an order to unseal the probable cause affidavit that led to the suspect's arrest. This means that the public would know why Indiana State Police arrested this man. Like, what was the evidence that made you arrest him? According to this redacted document, video footage recovered from Libby's phone showed one of the girls mentioning gun as a man wearing a dark jacket and jeans approached them and ordered them to go down the hill. So, like I said earlier, that clip of the man saying go down the hill, Libby was very smart and to film this and to record this film it because it was video footage. She had good cause during that, and I do believe that the video might have shown their murder, considering that they found her phone. Oh, you'll find out where her phone was. Investigators believe that Richard is the man in the video. They also found a .40 caliber unspent round less than 2 feet from one of the body's victims, but in between the two girls. So these girls were found a few feet apart. It was later determined that the round came from a gun owned by Richard. And apparently, from what the affidavit said, he was interviewed in 2017. And he said he was on trial for that afternoon for around 2 hours. The same day these girls were murdered, he said he was in court. The affidavit also said that in a subsequent interview in October 2022, he told authorities he had worn jeans and a blue or black jacket on the day the girls were murdered. And then he only went there to watch fish from the bridge. Will you match an identical sketch, a picture from a video? Sir, why didn't you come forward and say that's me in the picture? Because if you wanted to clear your name, you would have said that's me in the composite sketch that was given to the public. Then went national because people wanted to find you. But on December 2nd, 2022, Judge Gall issued a gag order until January 2023. Richard's defense attorneys argued in a motion to move the trial out of Carroll County based on concerns about juror bias due to what his attorneys described as the extensive media attention and the highly publicized nature of the case in the local area. From what I know, he will still be tried in Indiana. And I will tell you this, anywhere this man goes, any county that he goes to in Indiana, he is not going to get a fair juror. He's not going to, because you killed 2 little girls in the state of Indiana and got away with it for 6 years. So his defense attorney wants to say that he's not going to get a fair jury in Carroll County. He's not going to get one in Allen County. He's not going to get one in Wabash County. He's not going to get one in Kosciuszko County. He's not going to get one anywhere. This man is not going to have a fair jury bias, or whatever you want to call it, in any county he goes to in Indiana, because he did this in Indiana and got away with it for 6 years. Before I get on to the next part of it, rumor has it that this man was sitting in bars where they had the composite sketch walls to show, hey, if you guys know who this is, here's the tip line. This man was apparently sitting in bars talking about how he looked similar to the composite sketch. And not only that, there's another rumor, I don't know if this is rumor or not. Apparently, this man worked at the local CVS, and when, I can't remember which one, I think the girls' families, when they came in to print pictures off a CVS, he would give them to them for free. If you're innocent, you wouldn't be saying you look like a composite sketch of a murderer And you wouldn't be giving the families free pictures if you didn't murder their little girls. Back to my notes that I have. So actually, while he was behind bars, or while he's currently behind bars, his dumbass allegedly confessed to killing the 2 girls more than once, actually. Documents were given to the public to talk about this, and apparently he confessed to both his wife and his mother. Like I just said, court documents were unsealed. They were unsealed on June 29th of 2023. 118 court documents were unsealed, and it revealed to us the shocking confession to his wife, Kathy. Her name is Kathy. And the following months of his arrest. So on April 3rd of this year, 2023, he made a phone call to his wife from Westville Correctional Facility, where he's awaiting trial. Like, he hasn't moved. He allegedly admitted several times that he carried out the brutal murders of Libby and Abby. His wife abruptly ended the call, which I don't blame her. If my husband confessed to me that, he murdered 2 teenage girls, I would be sending him divorce papers. Apparently, he also confessed in calls to his mother. In total, from what these court documents said, he confessed at least 5 times to 2 different people. While we learned about these phone calls, we also learned some information about Libby and Abby's murder. We learned how they were murdered, and they were stabbed to death. They were stabbed with a knife, which is very sad, because I have one question: how did he murder 2 teenage girls? He had to have injured both of them at the same time. He had to have injured them both at the same time for him to have been able to kill both of them. They're 13 and 14 years old. I'm almost 100% positive they could have outrun this man. He either hurt them so severely that they couldn't run while the other one was being stabbed to death. He scared them to the point where they were afraid that if they ran, he would find them. Or they knew in this moment, I'm going to be murdered, and I'm not making it out of this alive. They had to have known something was going to happen to them. So some items of the girls were missing. I don't know whose items these were. I just know that they came from one of the girls, or maybe both. A pair of underwear from one of the girls was missing, and a sock were missing from these girls. This man took a pair of underwear that his victims were wearing, which means he had to have taken their clothes off to take this pair of underwear. This man was sick enough to kill them and then undress them. But like I said earlier, we found out where Libby's phone was located. Libby's phone was found underneath her body at the scene. If we think about it, and Libby's phone was still recording, it caught them talking about him, it caught him telling him to go down the hill, it caught their murders, and it might have even key evidence on how he got both of those girls to stay in one spot. Because there is no way you get 2 teenage girls, especially at the time, listen, I'm the same age as this girl should have been. I have lived 6 years longer than they got to. I have learned from my parents, and I'm pretty sure people around me, if you're scared, a lot of people run. He had to have done something to these girls for at least one of them to not run. And I get not wanting to leave your best friend behind, I do. But if it's a moment where you know what that man looked like, you could tell the police what he looked like, I can give you a detailed description. I can show you where he killed her. I can show you where we were. I want to know what he did to those girls to make them both stay at the scene. So all these court documents that were released, there's 118 of them. If you want to go analyze them, go analyze them. I actually do believe there's a podcast out there editing, Sarah, if you could research that for me. I believe there is a podcast that talks about those 118 documents, because the people wanted to know what happened to these two girls. They want to know what caused the state police to go for this man. They want to know what made this man do this. But with all these court documents coming out, his legal team have argued that his so-called confessions cannot be trusted due to his current mental state. And I will put in a picture of what he looked like when he first went into prison and what he, I believe, currently looks like. He has dropped a lot of weight. They say that his mental state has deteriorated drastically behind bars. And I'll tell you why his mental state has drastically changed, or deteriorated, because he murdered 2 teen girls, and in prison most of the time what you do to children is not liked in there. But his defense team is also trying to have that .40 caliber bullet thrown out. They don't want it in the case because it literally ties him to the crime scene. But the trial is supposed to start in January of 2024. They have not determined whether this man is fit to stand trial. I hope he is fit. I hope they determine he is fit to stand trial, because he deserves to be tortured the same way that these girls were tortured. That these girls' families have been tortured by for the last 6 years because this man decided to take their little girls from them. He gets to be tortured by every child who was the same age as them, that have went 6 years not knowing what happened to them, scared out of their minds that they would have been next. He deserves all of that. He deserves all of the mental trauma he put their friends at school through. All of those children they went to school with were probably terrified to go back to school when they learned what happened to them. But basically, I can tell you this, their middle school library named the library after the 2 girls. Basically, these girls are finally getting their justice after 6.5 years of wanting and waiting and sharing their stories on Facebook and Instagram and basically any social media we could do. National news, local news. We needed people to know what happened to these 2 girls. And I do want to say this. I have only seen one person in my entire time watching true crime YouTubers. I've only seen one person do this case, and I liked how they did the video, and that is Kendall Ray. And I will 100% link that video below, because Kendall is so amazing, and she did such an amazing job telling the girls' stories. And while my account is a little bit, more personal, I live in Indiana. I'm the same age as the girls. Kendall really shared how to help and what we could do. And that video was a couple years ago, I do believe. I hope you guys enjoyed sitting here listening to me rant for almost 30 minutes about these 2 girls and the man that murdered them, because they deserve to have a 30-minute video. They deserve to have a 40-hour video, because they never got to live the life that they should have been able to live, because some man decided one day he was going to kill them. I would just want to know. I want to know how he got them to stay in that spot. I want to know what made him think it would be a good idea to do it. What was his reasoning for killing them? You know what I mean? I'll leave your guys' theories on that down below. Let me know what you guys think he did, because, yeah. And if there's been new stuff that's come out about the trial that I did not see or catch while doing this video, please comment that down below. But yeah. But please remember, you guys can actually recommend cases that you want me to cover. Like always, it'll be up on the screen. You comment whatever you want to do. It does not have to be true crime related. It can be a conspiracy theory. It can be a video idea you want to see, basically anything like that. It doesn't always have to be true crime, because let me tell you, having a break from true crime videos is great. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.